Let's get serious about guns. I'm a data person, so let's break down the gun's usefulness by the numbers. My background, I'm a Democrat, I'm a liberal, and I'm a regressive leftist. Well, at least I'm called that because I don't say vaguely racist things. I don't own a gun, nor do I like guns. I don't understand gun culture or the appeal of owning one. But despite what conspiracy theorist videos will tell you, Democrats do not want to take away or ban your guns. But that's lately been the problem when it comes to a serious discussion about gun control. Anytime we try to have that conversation, conservatives will immediately shift the argument to gun banning. So before I start, let me clarify something. I do not want to ban guns. Let me repeat that. I do not want to ban guns. Is that clear? Okay, moving on. Guns in America have existed since the foundation of our country, the Second Amendment, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of the free state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. I'm not going to argue the interpretation of the Second Amendment, despite what liberal detractors may say. The Founding Fathers undoubtedly wanted Americans to own guns. Well, unless of course they were Native American or slaves. They didn't want those people starting their own revolution against oppression for obvious reasons. Despite the fact that our definition of a gun has evolved, and that the US houses 300 million guns and 100 million gun owners, guns are safe. Most gun owners are safe, in fact. When you break down the numbers, the amount of guns out there versus gun violence, it's incredibly small. Per year, the death from firearms is about 30,000. Looking closer at these numbers, you'll find out that over 60% are the result of suicides. So you're looking at 10,000 deaths per year, and most of these deaths are gang-related. And despite a massive increase of mass shootings in the US, gun violence surprisingly has dropped massively. But why do I find myself in so much disdain for guns? Well, the two primary functions of guns in this country are for protection against a tyrannical government, most likely your own, and basic self-defense. Extra functions would be hunting, collecting, target practice, and of course, buying and selling. The hobbyist is the only version of a gun owner that makes any sense to me. But purchasing a firearm for self-defense? Not exactly. The idea of protecting yourself against a tyrannical government with your pistol or AR-15 doesn't seem likely when that same government has an efficient military, tanks, drones, bombs, and nukes. So I am left with guns as the primary use in home and self-defense. But when you analyze the data, guns statistically don't work in the way they're intended. A study done by the Violence Policy Center found that in 2012, guns were justifiably used for self-defense only 259 times. That's an embarrassing low number when compared to the 1.2 million on average violent crimes per year. Granted, these defense statistics don't account for deterring and unreported crimes. This study also found that for every criminal killed in self-defense, 32 innocent people died, 78 guns were used in suicides, and 2 accidental deaths occurred. The simple answer a gun proponent might say is, hey, more good people need guns. No, not exactly. If more good people had guns, more accidents like this would occur. Because statistically, 2/3 of the time, gun victims are also the owner. Once again, there's roughly 30,000 gun deaths per year. 20,000 are the result of suicide. Accidental deaths are around 500 per year. And then if we count for accidental injuries, you're looking at roughly 70,000 per year. None of this has anything to do with self-defense. And this is where most gun problems occur. Increasing gun ownership merely increases accidents like this. So I'm left with this realization. Gun violence has gone down. In fact, violence as a whole has been dropping in the United States. So I have less reasons to own a gun. Most victims of guns are the owners themselves. So my conclusion is buying a gun puts me more at risk of being hurt by one, as I am more likely to shoot myself accidentally or intentionally before ever needing it for self-defense. The overall point being is most pool owners don't drown. However, if you buy a pool, your chances of drowning go up. You can apply this idea to driving cars as well. Most car owners don't crash. But that doesn't stop us as a society from wanting to own pools or cars. But the difference is, pools and cars have different functions that are useful for our society. A gun, however, its basic function is for self-defense. But statistically, 2/3 of the time when that gun is used, the victims are also the owner. The gun laws are incredibly loose in this country, but even with reasonable laws put in place, I still don't know how we can stop the mentally ill or a terrorist from buying guns legally. In either case, we need to do something, and that something starts with a real debate and discussion about it. When this is brought up, gun advocates immediately switch over the conversation into a discussion about gun confiscation, when only common sense gun laws are what's trying to be discussed. Unless you happen to live in a neighborhood torn up with crime on a daily basis, or live in a war zone, I really don't see the point of owning a gun. But if you still personally feel the need to own one, then that's fine. That's your choice. Educate yourself on the risk and benefits of owning one. Learn the best ways to store them properly. But when that gun goes off, most of the time, the victim is yourself, someone you know, accidental, or intentional. This country needs a serious bipartisan discussion about this issue. Thanks for watching. There's a source that I highly recommend you can follow up on this issue. The site is called gunviolencearchive.org. Orgs can be mixed in general, but this one is really great. It takes all the data from gun violence throughout the year and breaks it down on the US map and gives us a source for each and every single data point. So for example, if I wanted to look at the tiny number of guns used for self-defense this year, I can click on it. It has a list of who was killed, who was injured, it has a link in the description of the incident, and even has a direct source to the event. I thought it'd be pretty interesting. You can break down the numbers yourself and look at all the articles for this. I'm XXR23. Thanks for watching.